Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box, where today we're going to talk about The Last Waltz, which is sometimes referred to as the finest concert film of all time, which is saying quite a lot because the 60s and 70s was in many ways the golden age of the concert film. This was, of course, pre-MTV, and when MTV came around, the concert film tended to slowly die off in its sort of classic format because between the videos and the live concerts that would be telecast on MTV, people sort of lost the patience to go to a cinema and sit down and watch a lengthy concert film. But that was an interesting experience, and it still has some fans. Now, The Lost Waltz was always a standout among concert films. Of course, the music was wonderful, and we'll get to that soon. But so was a lot of great music in great concert films, because generally, if you were going to go through the hassle of bringing a film crew along to a concert or series of concerts, you'd probably only do that with a good band. And because not every band did make a concert film, there are some wonderful bands of the 60s and 70s with surprisingly little footage that requires the eyeball. But The Lost Waltz was unique even in this era because of its extremely high quality of production. Some of these concert films really were, five hippies with cameras and an editor who was stoned out of his mind, and it still kind of worked out. Some of these films had way too much non-musical content, backstage footage, audience shots, interviews with the road crew, which kind of worked when you're in a movie theater, but it really doesn't work when you're watching it at home. But even in within the realm of the cinematic experience, some of those interludes really went on for too long. The Lost Waltz it contrasts with that. So if that's the negative aspect of concert films, the stuff that leaves much to be desired, The Lost Waltz is something totally diametrically opposed to that. The Lost Waltz is high production, Hollywood quality. And why wouldn't it be? Because director Martin Scorsese is one of the best filmmakers of all time, and someone who, from his earliest days, always loved integrating music with his film. So his passion for film, I would say, is matched by his passion for music. There's not a lot of those boring interludes. In fact, there's pretty much none. It starts off with a bang and it really gets to the point. There are a few of those interludes, but they're short and they're sweet, and it leaves you wanting more, which is what those things should do. The lighting is right, the sound recording was perfect. It just really all came together. And luckily for Martin Scorsese, it happened to have a wonderful cast of musicians. Of course, it was the farewell concert for the band. Which band? The band. Horrible, I know. But we love the band. They were great, and it was their farewell tour. They went out when they were on top, which I think is something more bands ought to do. But obviously, it wasn't just them because they invited so many guests along. Eric Clapton was there, Ringo Starr was there, Muddy Waters was in very, very fine form. Neil Young, there was something hanging out of his nose, but he was in fine form. Van Morrison, really, really fine form. Emmylou Harris was great. Dr. John did a great performance. Ronnie Hawkins, Paul Butterfield, Joni Mitchell was there. Bob Dylan closes it out. The whole thing, some real superstars. And they were all, jamming with the band on their various numbers, and it just worked really, really well. It was the perfect length too, just under 2 hours, which might seem a bit long for a concert film, but when you see how well it was crafted, it just sort of flows along. Now, I'm lucky in that I first saw this film in the cinematic environment, in a movie theater, which is where it belongs. And there is something kind of cool to see about seeing these concert films in those environments. But it happened to be one of those, downtown old school places where, no kids, no families, few homeless people, but this was before the days that they were all on fentanyl. It was just the kind of cool place that you'd want to see this sort of thing. And now though, I don't know, maybe it is better to see it at home because the cinema has really if people aren't fighting, there's a baby screaming, there's someone, committing assault against someone else, the whole thing. And don't get me wrong, the place where I saw this was pretty gritty, but it wasn't annoying. It wasn't safe. It wasn't family friendly because that's not where you want to go to see a film like this. That's for the Disney matinee. But these days, up is down and black is white and round is square and all of that. And if I sound bitter, I'm not. I just wish things were better, and maybe they will, because what goes around does come around, and the pendulum always does swing back the other way. So that's a long and roundabout way of saying, make your home into a cinema, burn the incest, light up something, and enjoy this film in the way it was meant to be enjoyed, because it really was a top class production. It was one of those instances where the actual film production matched the quality of the music, and everything just came together really well. I'd expect nothing less from Martin Scorsese, and nor should you. Maybe he should do something about the production on this channel, but that's his maybe. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.